while to the Back and Forth podcast. Catching up a little bit, doing a little bit of early spring cleaning, if you will. Certainly some
January spring cleaning?
Yes. Is it January?
It is January.
Crap.
It's January 22nd, buddy.
Man, I thought it was like.
It's all right. You were in rehab for a little bit, so.
You kind of lose track of days.
Your self-awareness right now is probably at an all-time low.
Probably, yeah. You lose track of days in rehab. It's very troubling, but.
Finish opening it up, buddy. You got off to you're struggling. You're struggling again.
But welcome back and Forth podcast. In all seriousness, I'm your host, Stat Matt, or not Stat Matt. Well, yeah, Stat Matt. Sure, we'll go with that. We got Joey G here as well, and kind of a little bit of a Debbie Downer episode, huh? A little bit.
Yeah, a little on the negative and downside of things, I guess.
Yeah, going to be talking about obviously the ongoing saga that is Antonio Brown, and Delonte West found his way back into the news this past week. So without further ado, let's get right to it.
I want to get with Delonte West first.
Yeah, let's do it.
For those who don't know, Delonte West, former NBA player, probably most known for his career with the Cavaliers, Celtics, Mavericks, and various of other teams. Was a pretty good role player. I think he was a starter on a couple other teams, but mainly he came off the bench. Not trying to make a joke out of this because it's not the time or place for my jokes really. But probably most people know Delonte West from the affair he had, or alleged affair he had with LeBron's mom. All the memes and stuff that came out after that. But more on a serious note, he was, it seems as if, he was homeless. Video kind of surfaced out in Washington, D.C. He had no shirt on, was in shorts. He was, had a bag with him and was on the side of the freeway. He had a fight with someone and he was arrested. And, it's really heartbreaking to see. He was a great player in the NBA. Had a lot of potential, and obviously, had a lot of money, playing in the NBA. And then, just 5 years later, after his last game in the NBA, you kind of just see him go to at that point. And he did. I don't know what their relationship is now, obviously, but he did have a girlfriend or a fiance or a wife, and he did have a child with her. And it's really heartbreaking because that's the last thing you want for that poor kid. That's the image now of her father. And I really hope that he does get the, mental health attention that he needs and help. And I really hope he gets back up on his feet. There was a report yesterday, and this made me a very proud Celtics fan, that Danny Ainge and the Celtics front office was going to, help him get back in the right mental state of things, and then proceed to offer him a job in the scouting department. And that really put a smile on my face and made me a really proud Celtics fan. That probably made me a lot more happy than us beating the Lakers the other night. That's huge. It's a lot bigger than basketball sometimes. So shout out to Danny Ainge and shout out to the Celtics for doing that. And if something goes wrong and the Celtics aren't able to do that, I really hope other teams step in, whether Delonte West played for them or didn't play for him. I just really hope he gets the help he needs because, again, he does have a kid and he has a fiance or a wife, or I don't know where the relationship is right now, but for that kid at least, you don't want to see your dad like that, or you don't want to see anyone like that, point blank. And he could definitely make himself useful in society, whether he can be a coach, a scout, a GM for a minor league team, or working in the front office of a current NBA team, or working on ESPN or SportsCenter or Fox as an analysis. There's plenty of things for Delonte West that he could do and help get himself back up on his feet. So I hope that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more here with Joe. Especially, you think about this. It's, in all honesty, it's a pretty sad story.
Yeah, it really is.
To think that a lot has changed with Delonte West. When I saw this video, had I not read the caption on who it was, I would have never guessed it was Delonte West, just because his physical appearance, as far as facial recognition.
He looked really skinny too.
Yeah,
he was really skinny.
I would have, if I saw that guy on the street, I would not have said that was Delonte West unless, obviously somebody told me. But I do like what the Celtics have done, though. Extending their hand a little bit there to Delonte West. Seeing where he's at mentally. Does he need help with mental illness, and trying to keep him involved in the sport of basketball. That's always great to see. For those that may have tuned in earlier in the week to the campus breakdown, we talked a little bit about this
yesterday.
Yesterday. And we talked about this, and I had said, look, I would like to. I get it's not necessarily the NBA PA's job for
I think
that's
a former player in your league. You should do whatever it takes to help support that player. I think it is their job.
No, but
something like that.
You mainly see them focus on active players, is what I'm trying to get at there. It's typically they're not so involved with former players. I'm sure there is some involvement, and whatever involvement that is, I would like to see that extended to somebody like Delonte West that is going through a tough time. We started to see a lot more of these mental health illness situations circulate, especially in the sport of basketball, where you got people like Kevin Love and Liz Cambage, even during the season last year.
Yeah, Kevin Love say that he thought he was going to die one day.
Yeah, and
he was having a really bad anxiety attack or something, and
yeah,
that's good that he shined light. I think him and DeRozan were the ones that really started to shine light on this whole situation.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate though, and I don't know what Delonte West's all of his situation is, if he ran out of money or what the case may be, but if it was something financial, then I think it should be a lesson to the incoming guys that are declaring for the draft that look, if you're not responsible with all this money you're about to make, especially if you are top 5, top 10 pick, this can happen to you quicker than you think. Whether that is instilling maybe a financial responsibility class to kind of bring up some scenarios of what could happen to them, or guys that have fallen into maybe similar situations that can advise these young guys, hey, this is what's going to happen. And even if you want to do this class just for any NBA player, just something to prevent this type of situation from happening. And I get mental illness can happen to anybody, but looking at that video, it looked like Delonte West did not have even a home to go to, barely had any clothes to wear. Guy looked like he hadn't probably eaten in a good amount of a couple days, maybe maybe even a week. And as far as the video itself is concerned, that's probably even more stomaching to watch, because regardless of what the situation was, whether Delonte said something to this individual or not, shame on the person that took the video.
It was a cop.
Oh,
a cop took the video.
Oh, even worse, big time.
He got. The good news is he got suspended,
as he should.
I personally would have fired him, but at least there was some type of punishment.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably would have fired him too. But
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sad because that's the digital age we live in now in society, where we're starting not to really care about common sense. We just really care about, oh, did you get that latest video? Did you see this viral video?
And the video of him literally getting beaten up, it looked like it was on the freeway, or it was on the road, period.
So
cars were stopped, and cars were literally just driving by, and every other car that was stopped was just recording the whole situation.
Yeah,
Me personally,
I didn't see
if I saw someone getting beaten up on the street, I would have done something.
Yeah,
I would not have sat in my car and been like, let me just...
Yeah, nice. I would have. I didn't see one person even attempt to jump in there and try and break it up. For those that haven't seen the video, Delonte West could have literally gotten killed in this situation.
He could have.
Straight up.
They just sat in their car. I guess that them putting it out on Twitter was more important than helping someone.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate. But speaking of unfortunate situations, we now have ongoing saga with Antonio Brown that doesn't seem to go away. Reportedly, Antonio Brown and his trainer were involved in a altercation with a moving truck driver. It's recently surfaced that his trainer has been, I believe, confirmed arrested as of yesterday, and I believe there is formulating a arrest warrant for Antonio Brown
with no bail.
With no bail, and It came out today that supposedly Antonio Brown threw a rock at this truck driver before this battery burglary situation started. So Joe, I'll let you go first and then I'll elaborate.
Again, it's really sad to see, especially you know, I feel like CTE plays a huge role in this. You see it a lot in the NFL. The head trauma that comes with it. You know, it's an entertaining sport. It's fun to watch from the spectator view of things, I guess. But on the field, when players, you know, say that they risk their lives, I don't think they're exaggerating at all. They are. You know, it kind of first started with, I believe, was his name Mike Webster, the former Steelers center?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was his name. I may be wrong. But this is kind of where this whole thing started. He was a center for the Steelers, and he'd been playing football since he was a kid. And CTE was the cause of his death. And you kind of saw when he was getting introduced into the Hall of Fame, he had a real, tough time finishing his speaking. You saw him do interviews. In one interview, you can really look this up. He was talking. He was like, "I don't even know where I'm going with this," and it's truly sad and heartbreaking to see. And they did math, and he took, I can't remember the exact number, but he took a lot of blows to the head. Because back then in the NFL, you were allowed to, you're not allowed to do this now, but you were allowed to hit the side or hit the helmet basically with your hand or your palm to try to get around the offensive lineman and obviously make the sack or put pressure on the quarterback. Now that rule's obviously been taken out, but you still have NFL. Like this year, you saw Vontae Burfict, how do you say his last name? Perfect. On our very own Las Vegas Raiders, who just became official today. Helmet-to-helmet contact, like players still do that. You saw a few years ago Josh Norman and Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. literally charged at Josh Norman and hit him with his helmet. So yeah, same thing with Antonio Brown. Perfect again with that helmet-to-helmet contact, a dirty play. Aaron Hernandez, if you just watch the new Netflix special or series, Aaron Hernandez was allegedly responsible, one for sure, but he was accused of killing at least 3 to 4 people, I believe. And once he killed himself in jail, they took his brain in for to study and examination, and it was determined that he had CTE. And I feel like that's kind of what's happened with Antonio Brown. Just some of the things that he has done over the past year doesn't seem very normal to me, or doesn't seem like something a person with that's mentally healthy would do. He's done a lot of questionable things this past year. Now, obviously, throwing a rock at a guy that's moving your stuff. I'm not sure what happened or transpired, but it's not only just that, it's the various amounts of other things that Antonio Brown has done since getting traded to the Raiders, or even the 2 weeks before the season ended when he was with his last days with the Steelers. So and you saw his own agent dropped Antonio Brown. So his own agent was willing to lose money by dropping Antonio Brown, because the player plays the agent. Obviously, his own agent dropped him and told him, I'll be happy to work with you again, but I need you to get mental help first. That's what his agent's message was to Antonio Brown. So again, it's not looking too good for him right now, because there's an arrest warrant out for him with no bond, and that usually means he could be serving some time. But I hope it gets resolved, and I hope when he gets out or whatever ends up happening, he gets the medical attention that he needs, and he gets his life back on track and back together. Because you got to remember, this guy has 4 or 5 kids, I think. He has a couple of kids, and you don't want to, as children, again, you don't want to see your children, or your children, as your children don't want to see their dad acting like that, So again, I hope he gets the help he needs, and I hope everything works it out. I don't wish ill or bad things on anyone, and especially with someone like Antonio Brown, who we know, deep down is a good dude and he's a great football player. I think his football career is probably over, but that doesn't mean that he still can't, again, contribute to society, whether he can be a receivers coach for a football team or start training kids like he did. He put on a free camp a couple weeks ago in Florida. Like he's a good dude, I believe, deep down. And again, or maybe be an analysis somewhere or whatever. I just hope, you know, he gets the attention he needs and he gets back up on his feet, because there's a lot of memes and jokes going around about Antonio Brown. But again, sure, they're funny or, you know, fun to laugh at every now and then. But, you know, on a serious note, I hope he gets it back together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy to me to think that this was the same Antonio Brown that probably 3 or 4 years ago, you know, as a avid Steelers fan, you know, I'd always, you know, get into these different debates with different people, and, you know, the same question would come up of who you think the best receiver is. And, you know, you have those guys like Julio and DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham and whatnot. And every debate I said, I'll take AB because he just makes some of the most spectacular catches I've ever seen.
He's quick too. He was really quick.
You know, especially for being a tad bit undersized for the position. He wasn't, you know, one of these taller receivers like Odell and whatnot. He was more, I would say probably a tad undersized, but he still played as one of the best receivers that I've ever seen. Probably put on a Steelers uniform probably since Hines Ward. So it's sad that this is what AB has come to, and really, it's, I hate to say this, but I think we've seen the end of AB. You know, this is very reminiscent of a Delonte West type situation. I think with AB, the route he's going down. You know, whether it's having the cops at his house.
Well, I don't think it's the same route as Delonte West, because I think Delonte West was just unwise with his money. And it seems like Antonio Brown's just being unwise with
which could
his
we don't
decisions.
Well, we don't know. He could
humans or whatever.
I mean, he
can't figure out the right way to word it, but I don't think Delonte West was, you know, getting in Twitter wars with people and then throwing rocks at people and then cussing out the police and then cussing out his baby mama and then various amounts of other things, and I don't think Delonte West was ever accused, or even if he was, I don't think up to 5 women accused him of sexual assault, like which has happened to Antonio Brown.
Right, but I mean, as far as like where these two could be headed.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like
no. I know those. I mean, separate, but kind of same end result. Essentially, is, you know, they go down that dark, deep road, and honestly, I mean, it's another thing I hate to say, but if Antonio Brown is not careful, we'll be seeing him as another Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
And
hopefully not.
And we'll be like, man, what AB could have been.
Yeah.
Much like we were saying with Aaron Hernandez, because this all kind of happened with Hernandez, kind of at the prime of his career. He was playing great football when this happened. You know, arguably was the best tight end duo in the NFL with him and Gronkowski. And kind of the same things happened with Antonio Brown. He was doing pretty well up until those last couple weeks in Pittsburgh, and then it seemed like everything from there just kind of seemed to unravel itself. You know, whether it was getting in a fight with teammates, getting in a fight with, you know, different management, whether it's the Steelers, the Raiders, Patriots, whatnot. And it's escalated obviously to his off the field life, as far as getting into constant disputes with his baby mama. You know, having the cops called multiple times, I believe, within this month. And
that was like 5 times the cops been called to his house.
Yeah. And
they don't even got to put in their GPS probably anymore.
I'm sure they're like, oh man, it's AB.
What's he doing again?
Right. But quite seriously, this could be the end of AB as we all know it. And for his sake, regardless of maybe the hatred I had towards him, you know, when all the stuff was happening, like on the field with Steelers, Raiders, Patriots, whatnot. Outside of that, I do hope AB gets help, because you obviously would hate to, you know, see anybody go through this type of stuff.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sorry for being you know, Debbie Downer episode, or however you want to word it, because that's not usually how most of our episodes are. You know, it's usually me acting like an idiot and probably cussing every other sentence, and
me having a good time, you know.
And Matt starting sentences where he doesn't even know where he's going. But those are two important issues that we probably had to address and talk about. But stay tuned for more episodes. Obviously, let us know what your thoughts are about Delonte West and Antonio Brown, and appreciate your support as always.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. We'll see you all in the next episode of Back and Forth.